How's it going, everybody? It's Jake. I know I haven't made a video in a while, but I'm gonna make one today. I'm actually in Flight Sim X uh, while I'm staying at home when I'm not working because of this COVID-19 BS that's going on. I'm staying home. I'm working on my flying. So right now I'm in this Cessna 172. Let me switch to the outside view I like to use, which is locked spot. So I'm in this Cessna 172, November 1488 Tango. I'm in single player. I'm not doing any multiplayer. I don't really do that much. So right now I'm at Wright Brothers Airport in Miamisburg. That's right down the street from my apartment. And today I'm going to be flying from here to, I believe the flight plan was to the Tri-Cities in Tennessee. So Bristol, Johnson City, and Kingsport. So let's go ahead and pick up our IFR clearance. Alright, we'll read that back. We got 6,000 set, and the squawk is 0153. There we go. Alright, now let's taxi on out of here. We're going to take runway 20 because that'll take us taking off to the south. It's going to be over this way. We're flying to Tri-Cities in Tennessee for those that are just joining. I believe it's going to be like an hour flight or something like that. I'll probably just film the takeoff and then I'll film the landing later, because I don't know how long of videos I can record for YouTube as of right now. So we'll just film the takeoff and like getting up to cruising altitude, and then we'll film the landing or like the approach going into Tri-Cities. So this, I guess, used to be a runway at Wright Brothers Airport. Okay, let's turn that on so that it'll fly on our GPS headings. Alright, and then here's the runway. So let's tell traffic that we are taking off for a straight out departure. And here we go. And we're up. Alright, now let's set our altitude hold to climb to 6,000. That's actually going to be our cruising altitude, because this Skyhawk can't really go that super high. Contact date and departure. Oh yeah, and I keep this set to alright, we'll start turning on course. coming up to 2,000 feet now. Our cruising altitude of 6,000. I've got my cat laying here on top of a box next to the window in this room. He's just kind of watching me fly this video and everything. I don't really like to take this thing too high as far as cruising altitude goes, because there's a very real risk of this thing stalling out and getting to cruising altitude. Like, I flew this in the Mooney the other day in the simulator, and it's a lot faster, and I was able to get up to like 9,000 flying the same route. Looks like we got a King Air in the air well above us. Will be no factor in our course. Let's do an outside look here at the flying. That there is Lebanon, Warren County Airport. I'm in Dayton, Ohio, by the way, for anyone that's not familiar with where I am. Just took off from South Dayton in Miamisburg, Ohio, where I live. That's Lebanon there. The little airstrip that's there. We'll be passing a little bit east of Lunken Airport in Cincinnati, and then down through eastern Kentucky into Virginia and Tennessee to get to the Tri-Cites. And then that landing in Tri-City Airport in Bristol and Johnson City Kingsport, I think is what it is. Let me just double check this. While we're climbing to cruise. Kingsport, yeah, Kingsport, Johnson City, and Bristol. There's like a NASCAR track there and stuff like that. So that's actually, in my trucking career, one of the places that I surprisingly didn't get to was Tri-Cities in Tennessee. I got to the area in Virginia, not too far from there, but after that I went into North Carolina. Alright, Cat, you need to stop playing with the rope. Stop playing with the blind string. Stop playing with that. Be a good boy. Yeah, he's over here attacking. There he goes again. I need a way to hold on to this and like retract it all the way, but I'll just hold it while I sit here and talk to you guys about flying the aircraft, which I'm really not doing much of on these climbs after takeoff. Really, when I do this flight sim, the only flying I'm really doing when I'm doing one of these IFR flight plans is to do the takeoff manually and land, because I haven't really nailed down how to use the ILS yet on approaches, so I just fly it myself. Fly the approaches. Like, I'll ask them for the visual approach in ATC, and usually they'll just line me right up with the runway with vectors, and then I'll just land it myself. It's a lot easier that way for me. Alright, so we're coming up on 5,000 feet. Should still be over like Lebanon, Mason, that part of Ohio. This thing, when you're climbing, goes pretty slow, but once you level off, it can get up to about 126 knots. Depending on how much power you give it, which, because I'm not really using fuel in the simulator here, I don't really, like, I don't go for a lot of super realism when I'm flying in the simulator. I would if I were going for my pilot's license IRL, but I don't right now, so I just fly at full power the whole way. I know you're not really supposed to do that when you fly, but what can you do? A couple of baseball fields down there on the sample uh, generated stuff. This is in no way what the actual ground here looks like. The only things that are really accurate are the airports. All the rest is just, recycled scenery. For anyone who's not familiar with Microsoft Flight Sim. But yeah, once we get up to cruising altitude, I'll probably wait until I get handed off to Cincinnati approach and like get across the river before I cut the video, even though it's going to be really boring just flying in a straight line, because I believe the first waypoint on this flight path from Miamisburg to the Tri-Cites is Falmouth, Kentucky. So it's just going to be a straight line, pretty much. All we're really going to be doing is just going from frequency to frequency with air traffic control and getting that sorted out. Yeah, we got a Mooney at 10,000 somewhere near here. See if I can find him. He could be on the other side of the area though, but yeah. So now we're just cruising, see? I wonder what our speed's gonna look like here. Let's turn this to let's bug our actual heading. 199. We got another Cessna with us at 8,000. Wow, approach. Don't reply or anything. Don't acknowledge that he's calling you. Approach here looking like a... Approach here sounding like my ex, not calling back. I'm not bitter over that or anything. It's been 6 years. Screw it. I'll just continue to know how to fly and be 100% better than the people who do stuff like that to me. Alright, here we go. We're getting handed off to Cincy approach. Alright, we are with the Cincy approach. We're north of there. In fact, let's pull up the GPS and see where we're at. Okay, so this here, if you can see the cursor where it's at, where I'm pointing, depends on how it comes out with the video, but ISZ there, India Sierra Zoo, that's Blue Ash Airport that's now closed. It was open when this came out. Here's the ILS feather for, I believe, runway... I forget what runway that is at Lunkin. This over here, HAO, that's what airport I used to fly out of a lot of in the simulator. That's Hamilton, Butler County Regional. All of these I just have no idea. They're just little tiny airstrips and other navigational aids that are in southern Ohio. And my cat is tugging and tugging on this string. It is absolutely hilarious to watch him do this. I wish I could show you this. But, that's what you can't do. We'll zoom out and, okay. This over here, if you can see it, ILN, that's Wilmington, Ohio. There's Falmouth, across the river in Kentucky. There's CVG, Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky Airport. Passenger airport for Cincinnati, for those that aren't familiar. Over here, HTS, that's actually Huntington, West Virginia. I've flown there a couple times in the sim to get some landing practice in from Hamilton. And I flew there from Wright Brothers, like I did just now too once, but my simulator actually crashed and stopped working when I was on final approach, so I was actually really mad about that. Oh, now this is all screwy. Hey, I gotta fix these blinds. Whoa, hey. There we go. Now they're fixed. But yeah, we're just cruising along. If you look here, GS, that's ground speed. We're going about 115 knots across the ground. Converted to miles per hour, multiplying that by 1.151. That would be, give me a second here, let me do some math. And by that I mean pull up a calculator. So we're doing about 130 miles an hour across the ground. If the ground below us were completely flat and we were just rolling across it, we would be doing 130. I was flying a Mooney the other day and I was doing about twice this. And it's just another single engine prop aircraft, so not really a turbo, but it has just a much faster engine than this thing. If I were to go and get my pilot's license, this would most likely be the plane I'd be flying right here, the Skyhawk. They're very common in the instructor ranks. They're just a very all-around good aircraft for student pilots to use. Also here, I don't know if you can see, but I-69 here. It's called I-69. It's its identifier. That's Claremont County Airport. Sporties. It's a big flight school, like nationwide flight school. They're headquartered there. I would go there if I didn't want to stay local. If I do my flight license, I want to do them around here in Dayton, where I live. So. But yeah, we're just kind of cruising along here, waiting to. Oh yeah, and these lines you're seeing here, like these blue lines, that's the Class Bravo airspace around Cincinnati. If I wasn't flying IFR, I probably wouldn't be allowed inside of that. I'd have to get clearance from, I believe, approach here. I'd have to ask them for transition clearance. I'd have to squawk a different code on my transponder down here. But since I'm IFR and I'm planning to go through here, it's all good. Like this. Oh no, they're requesting flight following, so I don't really know exactly how that works for VFR, but I just know people use it from time to time. 70 India November. That sounds familiar. That's an Indiana airfield. That is Lewis Airfield. That's Milan. Okay. I knew I had heard that identifier somewhere. That's out in Milan, Hoosiers land, for anybody who doesn't know what Milan is. But yeah, according to the GPS, we got about 16 minutes before we reach Falmouth, and then looking at the GPS here, we have a left turn taking us to the northeast of these little lines here. That's the Class Charlie airspace around Lexington. So we'll be getting to the northeast of that. We'll actually be on with Lexington approach, I believe. Even though we won't be approaching Lexington, we'll be on with them for a little bit before we go to Indy Center. And then I think briefly we'll be going to either Atlanta Center or just straight to Tri-City approach as we get closer down there. And then, of course, this you're seeing in front of us is the mighty Ohio Sewer. I mean, river. I wouldn't swim in that on a bet. It's probably got... everybody's mad about the coronavirus. That thing was the coronavirus years ago. That thing's been dirty for decades. Alright, we'll jump back in the plane here. We'll pull the GPS back up. Just keep on cruising along. I'll probably cut off the recording here once we cross the river. Down there's Lunkin, and then over here is downtown Cincinnati, where I wish I could have gone to a baseball game yesterday, but of course the friggin' coronavirus had to decide to not let us go to baseball games or anything. And then there's Claremont County Airport. I know you can't really see it behind my wing brace here, but here it is. Yeah. That'd be like Batavia, Ohio, I believe. Batavia. I don't know how you pronounce it, but that's what that would be. Claremont County. And there's a big flight school there and stuff. So, and they have a lot of stuff, a lot of resources that for sale at their shop for student pilots and experienced pilots, from what I heard. Um, I'd probably be buying stuff from there if I finally did decide to go for my pilot's license. But as of right now, I just don't. I can't really, financially justify doing that. Eventually, I want to get more into the multiplayer aspect of the simulator and do the air traffic control by myself without just using the in-game ATC. Talking to somebody who's controlling airspace. But I need to get more practice in before I do that. What do we got over there? Oh, there's a beach bear, and there's a twin engine prop over there. Oh, you can see behind that cloud, but it's over past Cincinnati. Flying across the river, probably towards my old hometown of Lawrenceburg, where there isn't an airport, you know. But I guess they're close enough to CVG, they can't really justify it. They have planes getting hit all the time. Alright, well, I think I will go ahead and cut this video here and probably upload it while I'm continuing to cruise along toward the landing, and then once I do the landing, I will record it as well and upload it probably the same day. So, yeah, y'all have a good one, and try not to get bored too much in this quarantine crap. See ya.